The aircraft in order to shoot it down, as following a pheasant that I had done, bringing a gun through the pheasant.
You don't shoot at it, you shoot somewhere over here. It's extremely unnatural. Either it's 109s or pheasants. Pheasants is safer.
These machine guns didn't just fire straight ahead, but were placed at a slight angle to make the bullets converge at the point calculated to cause maximum damage.
Guns of a Spitfire were harmonized at 250 yards, so you get the strongest bullet group at 250 yards. You get a spread of about 3 feet across.
If you are at that point and the fighter fires at you, that's curtain for you, completely. Because of the mass of bullets all together in one lump.
However, experienced pilots thought 250 yards was too far away and had their guns synchronized even closer.
I had my guns towed in to 150 yards as not to provide a spread, but to provide a pinpoint, so that all the guns were supposed to, all the bullets should have bounced off each other at 150 yards. Well, that meant if you got in close, you were really hitting hard.
Air warfare, particularly between fighters, is not about two equals dueling. It's not like a couple of knights running against each other, being equally armed. It's about ambushing someone. It's about creeping up unseen and shooting someone in the back.
I myself was a specialist at shooting from directly behind, as close in as I could get. And then I would dip slightly, aim at the plane's back side from underneath, and fire a quick burst.
I think about 80% of the people during the Battle of Britain were shot down by people they didn't even see.
It's much more like hunting, and you sought out prey that were defenseless if you possibly could. So it wasn't very romantic at all, in fact.
So that would be the challenge faced by Dave and John with their handful of hours training. Would they be the hunter, or would they be the hunted?
You're getting better, Dave.
Practice makes perfect.
The people who got killed first were new pilots posted in who'd only done about 7 hours flying on Spitfires. And many of them got killed on their first trip.
It was sad to think we were strapping a man or a young man in the cockpit, younger than one yourself, and sending him up to fight experienced pilots like Galland and that, you know, the Germans.
There's an unpleasant but apt phrase, cannon fodder. Totally inexperienced people were sent into aerial combat. All they knew was how to take off and land. But when they were faced with their first tight turn, they were already in trouble. To send such people into battle with no idea of how to shoot is just wrong. It happened on both sides. And it's a tragedy that they were ever sent up there just to be shot down.
One American study has calculated that most people only have a 50-50 chance of getting through each of their first 5 combats, but that if they do, their chances of survival rise by a factor of 10, 20 or more.
So for our trainee pilots, life would have been brutally simple. Learn as much as you could in 9 hours of Spitfire training, and then hope you can make it through those first vital hours. Carolyn has decided to show Dave and John what the Spitfire can do in the hands of an expert.
Whoa. A bit of rudder. Keep the turn going.
Combat flying puts enormous demands on the human body, something our pilots need to experience for themselves. The greatest strain is the pressure of G-force when twisting and diving violently, which at their worst can make you lose consciousness, called blacking out.
Well, I wasn't a good enough or experienced pilot at the time to develop any aerodynamic tricks to avoid being shot down. But what I had to my advantage is I could pull aircraft round in a very tight turn and take very strong G-forces. Now, this was possibly due to my being short, because your stomach muscles stop the blood flowing from your head, and when it does, of course, you pass out. But under the stress of combat, you could pull it so hard that you did momentarily black out.
You get any blacking out?
No, not at all, no.
In a Spitfire, you could get pretty heavy G coming out at, say, 450 miles an hour in a very steep dive, and you were pulling out. Or if you were in a sharp turn in a dogfight, you could black yourself out as easy as anything.
Oh, every time. Every day in combat. Oh, yeah. Clean as a whistle. I used to start to go just after 5G.
You could feel the blood draining out of your brain, and you got very fuzzy and eventually went unconscious. But you learned to control this to some extent.
A good trick, put your head on your shoulder, and that stopped the direct flow of blood from your head down into your body, and also constricted the arteries and veins somewhat, all of which was a help.
You used to grey out initially. It was sort of, with me, I don't know if it varied with people, but me used to grey out like that and come in, and then you go black. You knew what was going on, and if you eased the stick a bit, it would come back. If you kept pulling, then you became unconscious. If you could avoid it, don't black out, because you can't see, and you can't see what's happening. And it only takes 2 or 3 seconds, and he's on you.
Throughout Fighter Command, pilots would work out for themselves what helped them survive. Nothing was too trivial if it gave you the edge you needed.
I'll tell you about the things that can get you killed. Never fly with a cold or a stiff neck.
And that's why they wore these silk neck scarves. It wasn't for show or because it was elegant or fashionable. It's to prevent chafing. The Van Huysen shirts that the fighter pilots were issued with were tight and stiff. They also shrank when in contact with the water. So unless you want to be choked in the channel, you undid your top button and you put on the neck scarf.
Never follow the aircraft you're shooting at, because somebody will be shooting at you.
If you stay still, you're a simple target. If you're moving around, you're not. So therefore, let's move around. And if you can't see a target in front of you, doesn't matter. Don't go around looking for one like that. Chuck the aeroplane about, and then one will come up. Survival. Live to fight another day, and have a jolly good bash at him while you're there. Go for him.
Get in fast, kill one of them, and then get out.
For the Germans, the Battle of Britain was simply phase 2 in their lightning war to create a European empire. But as well as defeating Britain, they were also driven by conquest on a personal level, and the medals that went with it.
The Germans are motivated much more by the feeling that they're engaged in some form of dangerous sport. You get the sporting analogies constantly in German correspondence, and what their main concern is how well their unit is doing against other units in terms of shooting down British aircraft. Who's got the best score?
During the Battle of Britain, I was awarded this Knight's Cross for shooting down 20 aircraft. It was a great honor. People respected you wherever you went. People would say, full of admiration, "Look, he has the Knight's Cross." It was something quite special at the time.
The leading aces were known to be people who suffer from what the Germans called Halsweh, or having a sore throat, which simply meant